The accidental discovery. The research station, New Horizon, drifted silently through the void, its massive solar collectors gleaming like metallic petals against the star-filled darkness. Dr. Sarah Chen pressed her palm against the cool observation window, watching distant nebulae swirl in impossible colors. After 3 months of stellar cartography in this unexplored sector, the routine had become almost meditative. The hum of life support systems, the soft beeping of monitoring equipment, and the occasional creak of the station's hull expanding and contracting with temperature changes created a symphony of deep space exploration. "Sarah, you need to see this," Commander Marcus Torres called from the tactical station, his voice carrying an unusual edge of excitement. The former Navy officer rarely showed emotion, making his current tone particularly noteworthy. Sarah turned away from the viewport and walked across the central hub, her magnetic boots clicking softly against the metal deck plating. Dr. Yuki Tanaka looked up from her xenobiology research console, pushing her glasses up her nose with a gesture that had become unconscious after years of microscopic work. "What kind of readings are we getting, Marcus?" The tactical display showed a 3-dimensional representation of local space, with their position marked by a small blue dot. About 15 light-hours away, a cluster of red contacts appeared on the screen, each one massive enough to register on their long-range sensors. The objects were clearly artificial, too regular and geometric to be natural phenomena. Chief Engineer Dmitry Volkov emerged from the engineering section, wiping his hands on a maintenance rag. His weathered face, marked by decades of working with fusion reactors and quantum field generators, showed the kind of skeptical expression he reserved for readings that seemed too good to be true. "Before anyone gets excited, I ran full diagnostics on all our sensor arrays. Everything is working perfectly. Those contacts are real, and they are big." Communications Officer Elena Vasquez spun her chair around from the communications station, her young face bright with curiosity. "Should I try to establish contact? The energy signatures suggest active power systems, so somebody's home." Sarah studied the tactical display, her mind racing through possibilities. In her 15 years of deep space research, she had catalogued thousands of astronomical phenomena, but these readings suggested something unprecedented. The objects appeared to be arranged in a defensive formation, like a fleet waiting in ambush or a permanent installation guarding something valuable. "Distance and estimated size?" Sarah asked, falling into her role as mission commander. Even though this was primarily a scientific expedition, Terran Colonial Command had insisted on proper military protocols for deep space operations. Marcus manipulated the display controls, zooming in on the contact cluster. "Approximately 15 light-hours from our current position. The largest object appears to be roughly 4 kilometers in length, with several smaller vessels arranged around it. Based on energy output, we're looking at active fusion reactors, but the efficiency ratings seem surprisingly low." Yuki leaned forward in her chair, her scientific instincts overriding any concerns about potential danger. "This could be it. This could be proof of extraterrestrial intelligence. Do you realize what this means for xenobiology? For our understanding of life in the universe?" Dmitry scratched his beard and studied the readings with the practical eye of an engineer. "Their power generation technology looks oddly primitive. Those fusion signatures suggest reactor designs that we abandoned 50 years ago. If these aren't re-aliens, they are either very conservative in their technological development or very behind the times." Elena had started running preliminary communication protocols, scanning various frequencies for artificial signals. Her equipment began detecting structured transmissions almost immediately, though the language and encoding were completely unfamiliar. "I'm picking up communication traffic between the objects. The signals are definitely artificial, definitely intelligent origin." Sarah felt a mixture of excitement and responsibility settling on her shoulders. First contact with an alien species was the kind of discovery that changed everything about humanity's place in the universe. Protocol demanded that she contact Colonial Command immediately, but the communications delay to Earth meant any response would take hours. The situation required immediate decision-making. "Elena, prepare a standard first contact package. Mathematical sequences, basic physics, peaceful intentions. Marcus, what's our defensive posture if these aliens turn out to be hostile? Marcus consulted his tactical systems, though the New Horizon was a research station rather than a warship. We have standard defensive shields and a single plasma cannon for asteroid clearance. Against multiple unknown vessels, our best option would be to run for the nearest Colonial Navy patrol route. Before Elena could transmit their first contact message, her communication equipment exploded with activity. Every frequency they were monitoring suddenly carried the same signal, a powerful transmission directed straight at their position. The Universal Translator, designed to work with human languages and theoretical alien communication, began processing the incoming data. A deep, resonant voice filled the station's speakers, speaking in perfect English despite clearly being artificial translation. Unknown vessel, you have entered the sovereign territory of the Zephyrian Galactic Empire. By imperial decree, all in first sea. Your species must submit to immediate boarding and inspection. Prepare to surrender your vessel and crew for processing. The 5 humans stared at each other in stunned silence. Yuki was the first to recover her voice. Did they just call us an inferior species and demand our surrender? That seems a bit premature for a first meeting. Dmitri laughed, a dry chuckle that echoed through the station. They want us to surrender? Have they seen our technology? Our ship is running circles around their power generation, and our communications are encrypting signals they can't even detect. Sarah activated the external communication array. This is Dr. Sarah Chen, commander of the Terran research vessel New Horizon. We are peaceful explorers conducting scientific research. We had no knowledge of your territory claims and mean no intrusion. Perhaps we could discuss this situation diplomatically. The response came immediately, with a tone of growing irritation. Silence, primitive creature. The Zephyrian Empire has monitored your barbaric world for over 3 centuries. Your species has barely mastered fire and crude metallurgy. You will comply with imperial boarding procedures or face immediate destruction. Marcus pulled up Earth's technological timeline on his tactical display, cross-referencing it with the aliens' claim of 3-century monitoring. Sarah, if they've really been watching us for 300 years, their intelligence is catastrophically out of date. 3 centuries ago, we were just beginning to use steam engines. We've achieved faster-than-light travel, quantum computing, and controlled fusion in just the last century. Elena was frantically recording everything while simultaneously broadcasting updates back to Colonial Command. This is incredible. They think we're still in the pre-industrial age. How is that possible for a species advanced enough for interstellar travel? Yuki had pulled up her xenobiology research on galactic development patterns. Maybe their society is extremely rigid and slow to change. If they've been using the same technology for centuries, they might assume other species develop at the same pace. The alien transmission continued, now with what sounded like multiple voices conferring in the background. Your vessel displays technology signatures inconsistent with our intelligence reports. Explain how primitives have achieved fusion power and quantum field manipulation. Dmitri grinned and activated his engineering display, showing the New Horizon's complete technical specifications. Should I tell them about our antimatter storage, our artificial gravity generation, or our quantum tunnel communication array? Because any one of those would probably blow their minds. Sarah realized they were dealing with a species that had made dangerous assumptions based on outdated information. The situation required delicate handling to avoid either provoking an attack or causing a diplomatic incident that could affect future human-alien relations. Zephyrian vessels, there appears to be some confusion about human technological development. We've made significant advances in the past few centuries. Perhaps we could meet in neutral space and discuss our respective capabilities peacefully. The alien response carried undertones of what sounded like panic. Impossible. Our intelligence networks are infallible. Primitive species cannot develop faster-than-light technology in mere centuries. You must be using stolen or gifted technology from a superior civilization. Marcus was analyzing the alien fleet's formation and energy signatures with growing amazement. Sarah, their tactical positioning is terrible. They're all clustered together with no overlapping defensive fields. Their weapons appear to be simple particle beams, parabolas, effective against unshielded targets, but useless against modern deflector arrays. If this came to a fight, one of our patrol boats could probably handle their entire fleet. Elena looked up from her communication station with a mixture of excitement and disbelief. They're demanding we prove our technological claims by submitting to inspection. They want us to power down our systems and allow boarding by their evaluation teams. Yuki was studying the aliens' communication patterns and linguistic structures. Their language suggests a highly hierarchical society with rigid social structures. They probably can't conceptualize rapid technological development because their own civilization has been stagnant for millennia. The tactical display suddenly showed new contacts approaching their position. 3 smaller vessels had separated from the main alien fleet and were moving toward the new horizon at what appeared to be their maximum velocity. Their approach was direct and aggressive, suggesting they intended to carry out their boarding threat regardless of human cooperation. Sarah made a command decision that would shape humanity's first contact with galactic civilization. Elena, prepare a detailed technical broadcast showing our current technological capabilities. Include specifications for our fusion reactors, quantum computers, and FTL communication systems. If they want proof of our advancement, let's give them more than they can handle. The Empire's humbling lesson. The approaching Zephyrian vessels maintained their aggressive course toward the new horizon, their angular hulls gleaming with an energy field that probably served as both propulsion and shielding. As they drew closer, the human crew got their first clear look at alien technology, and the results were surprisingly disappointing. "Those ships look like something from our early space age," Marcus observed, studying the tactical display. "Their design philosophy seems to prioritize intimidation over efficiency. All those spikes and angular surfaces would create unnecessary structural stress points." Dmitri was conducting passive scans of the alien vessels, analyzing their energy signatures and structural composition. "Their hull materials are impressive, some kind of exotic metal composite that's stronger than our standard alloys. But their engine technology is primitive by our standards. They're using basic fusion ramjets that we abandoned decades ago in favor of quantum field drives." Elena had finished preparing the technical broadcast that Sarah had requested, a comprehensive overview of human technological achievements. "Ready to transmit, Commander. This package includes everything from our basic industrial processes to our most advanced research. If they've really been monitoring us for 3 centuries, this should give them quite a shock." Yuki was analyzing the aliens' biological signatures using the station's advanced sensors. "Fascinating. Their life signs suggest a silicon-based metabolism with carbon supplements, probably evolved on a high-gravity world with a reducing atmosphere. Their physiology would actually be quite fragile in Earth-normal conditions." Sarah activated the transmission array. Zephyrian vessels, as requested, were transmitting detailed technical specifications of human technology. "We hope this will resolve any confusion about our current capabilities." The data package shot across space at light speed, reaching the alien ships almost instantly. For several minutes, there was complete radio silence from the Zephyrian fleet. The 3 approaching vessels gradually slowed their advance, as if their crews were too distracted by the incoming data to maintain their aggressive approach. When the alien response finally came, the voice sounded distinctly different from the earlier transmissions. Gone was the arrogant certainty, replaced by what could only be described as shock and confusion. "This information cannot be accurate. Our models predict that primitive species require minimum 10,000 cycles to develop quantum field manipulation. Your planet has achieved this in less than 1,000 cycles." Marcus grinned and pulled up comparative development charts. 1,000 cycles in their measurement system is probably about 300 of our years. They're not wrong about their timeline. They just assumed all species develop at the same glacial pace they do. Elena was monitoring multiple communication frequencies, detecting increasingly frantic conversations between the alien vessels. "They're talking to each other constantly now, and their translation protocols are starting to break down. I think we've given them more information than their systems can process. The lead Zephyrian vessel transmitted again, this time with what sounded like multiple voices conferring in the background. Human vessel New Horizon, request immediate clarification. Your transmitted specifications indicate technological capabilities equivalent to galactic civilization level 5. Our intelligence classified your species as level 1 primitives. Dmitri laughed out loud at the alien confusion. Level 5? What does that even mean? Are they rating civilizations like video game characters? Yuki had been researching the concept of technological rating systems. Actually, that makes sense for a bureaucratic empire. They probably categorize every species they encounter to determine how to interact with them. We just broke their entire classification system. The tactical display suddenly lit up with new contacts as the main Zephyrian fleet began moving toward their position. What had started as a routine boarding operation was apparently escalating into a full fleet engagement. The massive alien vessels moved in the same rigid formation they had maintained for hours, showing no adaptation to the changing situation. Sarah realized that humanity's first contact with galactic civilization was rapidly spiraling out of control. The aliens' inability to process new information or adapt their tactics suggested a species locked into patterns of behavior that hadn't changed in millennia. Their technological stagnation wasn't just about engineering, it extended to their entire approach to problem solving. Elena, establish a direct communication channel with their fleet commander. We need to de-escalate this situation before it becomes a shooting war. The communication came through almost immediately, but now the alien voice carried overtones of what sounded like fear mixed with anger. Human primitives, your deception will not be tolerated. No species achieves advanced technology without conquering and enslaving inferior races. You must be concealing your true military capabilities and territorial ambitions. Marcus shook his head in amazement. They literally cannot conceive of technological advancement without conquest and oppression. Their entire worldview is based on the assumption that progress requires domination. Elena had established a visual communication link, and for the first time, they could see their alien counterparts. The Zephyrian commander appeared on their main display, a tall figure with crystalline features and multiple arms, wearing what looked like ceremonial armor covered in technological devices that seemed purely decorative rather than functional. I am Fleet Commander Zixthara of the Imperial Conquest Division, the alien announced. Your species will explain how primitives acquired advanced technology without following proper galactic development protocols. Sarah stepped forward to address the alien commander directly. Commander, human civilization developed this technology through scientific research, international cooperation, and peaceful exploration. We didn't conquer anyone to achieve faster-than-light travel or quantum computing. We invented these things ourselves. The alien commander's crystalline features shifted in what might have been an expression of disbelief. Impossible. The Imperial archives record the development patterns of over 4,000 species. Advanced technology requires resource extraction from conquered territories and forced labor from subjugated populations. Your small world lacks sufficient resources for independent development. Dmitri activated his geological survey data, showing detailed scans of Earth's resource distribution. Actually, Earth is incredibly resource-rich compared to most worlds we've surveyed. We've got abundant rare Earth elements, diverse biological systems, and more than enough raw materials to support technological civilization. We never needed to conquer anyone. Yuki added her analysis of human social development. Commander, human civilization advanced through cooperation and knowledge sharing. Our greatest technological leaps came from international scientific collaboration, not military conquest. The Internet, space exploration, quantum computing, all of these achievements required peaceful cooperation between different human cultures. The alien fleet had now arranged itself in what was obviously a battle formation, though their positioning remained tactically questionable. The massive vessels bristled with weapons that looked impressive but appeared to be designed more for intimidation than effective. Against modern defensive systems. Fleet Commander Zixthara's image flickered, as if their communication systems were struggling with the conversation. Your claims violate fundamental principles of galactic development. The Zephyrian Empire achieved dominance through proper conquest protocols. Inferior species provide resources and labor, while superior species provide direction and control. This is the natural order. Marcus consulted his tactical analysis of the alien fleet's capabilities. Sarah, their weapons are basically oversized versions of technology we used in our early space battles. High-energy particle beams, fusion missiles, and kinetic projectiles. Our defensive systems could probably handle their entire fleet without taking significant damage. Sarah realized that they were witnessing the collision between two completely different philosophies of civilization. The Zephyrians had built their entire society around conquest and exploitation, creating a rigid hierarchy that discouraged innovation and adaptation. Humanity, despite its many conflicts and problems, had ultimately embraced cooperation and shared knowledge as the path to advancement. Commander Zixthara, perhaps there's been a fundamental misunderstanding about how civilizations can develop. Would you be interested in establishing diplomatic relations and sharing knowledge peacefully? We could both benefit from cultural and technological exchange. The alien commander's response revealed the depth of their civilizational stagnation. Knowledge sharing with primitives is forbidden by Imperial Protocol 847 Alpha. Superior species do not negotiate with inferior species. You will submit to Imperial authority or face immediate termination. Elena had been monitoring the aliens' internal communications and made a disturbing discovery. Commander, they're not just threatening us. Their fleet communications indicate they're preparing Tratiot. Classify humanity as a developmental anomaly, requiring immediate correction. They're talking about bombing Earth back to pre-industrial levels. The situation had escalated far beyond a simple first contact incident. The Zephyrian Empire, faced with evidence that challenged their fundamental worldview, was preparing to commit genocide rather than admit their assumptions might be wrong. Their technological and cultural rigidity had created a species incapable of adapting to new information. Marcus activated the New Horizons defensive systems, though the research station was poorly equipped for combat. Sarah, we need to contact Colonial Command immediately. If they're planning to attack Earth, the Colonial Navy needs to know about this threat. Yuki was studying the alien fleet's formation and behavior patterns. Wait, look at how they're positioning themselves. They're following textbook Imperial tactics that are probably thousands of years old. They're not adapting to our technology or our unexpected capabilities. They're just following the same procedures they've always used. Sarah made a decision that would define humanity's entry into galactic politics. Instead of escalating the confrontation, she chose to demonstrate exactly why human civilization had advanced so rapidly while the Zephyrian Empire had stagnated. Elena, transmit our complete cultural database to their fleet. Include our history of scientific advancement, our art, our literature, our philosophy, everything that shows how human civilization actually works. If they want to understand how we achieved advanced technology, show them the cooperation and creativity that made it possible. The massive data transmission contained thousands of years of human achievement, from ancient philosophy to modern quantum mechanics, from primitive art to advanced engineering, from tribal cooperation to global scientific collaboration. It painted a picture of a species that advanced not through conquest and oppression, but through curiosity, creativity, and the willingness to share knowledge across cultural boundaries. Fleet Commander Zixthara's response, when it finally came, suggested that the Zephyrian Empire was beginning to understand the magnitude of their miscalculation. Human vessel, your cultural data indicates development patterns unknown to Imperial science. Request immediate consultation with Imperial Academy of Subjugation Sciences. Dmitri chuckled at the alien confusion. Imperial Academy of Subjugation Sciences? That tells you everything you need to know about their civilization. They've turned oppression into an academic discipline. The alien fleet began to disperse from their attack formation, not retreating, but clearly uncertain about how to proceed. The rigid protocols that had governed Zephyrian behavior for millennia provided no guidance for dealing with a species that had achieved advanced technology through peaceful means. Sarah realized that humanity had stumbled into a position of unexpected strength in galactic politics. By demonstrating that rapid technological advancement was possible without conquest and exploitation, humans had inadvertently challenged the fundamental assumptions that held the Zephyrian Empire together. Commander Zix Thara, humanity is willing to establish peaceful diplomatic relations with the Zephyrian Empire. We can share our technological developments in exchange for cultural knowledge and galactic navigation data. Both our civilizations could benefit from cooperation rather than conflict. The alien commander. This final transmission suggested that the encounter had shaken the Empire's confidence in their own superiority. Human civilization presents unprecedented developmental patterns requiring extensive analysis. Fleet will withdraw to maintain minimum safe distance pending Imperial policy review. This encounter will be reported to the High Council for unprecedented species classification. As the Zephyrian fleet slowly withdrew to a safer distance, the crew of the New Horizon realized they had just fundamentally altered humanity's relationship with the galaxy. They had encountered an ancient empire that ruled through fear and stagnation, and had demonstrated that there were other paths to greatness. Elena was already broadcasting detailed reports back to Colonial Command, knowing that this first contact would reshape human space policy for generations to come. Yuki was analyzing the cultural implications of a galactic civilization built on conquest rather than cooperation. Marcus was studying the tactical lessons learned from encountering a militarily superior but strategically inflexible opponent. Dmitri summed up the situation with characteristic Russian pragmatism. So we accidentally discovered that humans are the weird ones in the galaxy because we actually cooperate with each other and share knowledge instead of conquering everyone we meet. I'm not sure if that makes us incredibly lucky or incredibly dangerous. Sarah looked out at the stars, knowing that humanity had just taken its first step into a much larger and more complex universe than they had ever imagined. The galaxy was full of ancient civilizations locked into patterns of stagnation and oppression, but humanity's adaptability and creativity gave them advantages that even advanced alien empires couldn't match.